And what is up, people, once again, and true, coming in live in the place to be. So, we're going to give acknowledgement to the traditional custodians of this land, which I'm speaking on, and then acknowledgement to the ancestral lineages which lie within all of us, that may you grant resonance with those powers, and may they bring forth a glorious intuition to which you reach your heights. So always much peace to everybody coming through. We gotta wait a while for the notice to get out. It must be a bit crazy times. But yeah, another impromptu thing comes through. So it's sort of which way we'll go. I guess how can we do what we want to do? Go off into my mind and be like, just thinking of all the kind of stuff that's going down, man. Everybody's been locked up, and we got a lot of hustle bustle going on, and just friction causing our thoughts to go a bit ragged, and kind of things that would usually be in rotation, or relationships and friendships, they just seem to be going a bit haywire in the time of present. But you don't want to be focusing on the negative, but it's kind of things that are up in the forefront. So I guess you should focus away from such things, and alright, this just came to my mind. Yeah, okay, so we react to the people. We go in here. Right. Yeah, so pretty much for all people who okay, right. So you gotta be straight through. But just come to the mind now, like people of the Jarawa tribe in the Indian Ocean, Andamanese Islands, Andaman Islands, sorry. They're just a group of people who have held their cultural lineage for, I don't know who's to say how long, thousands and thousands of years, in a very balanced way with nature. They're surviving completely all off the land, seafood, some wild pigs, obviously root crops within the jungle. You know, so the picture of the meh, huts and things like that, but unfortunately people are sort of encroaching on them. So I mean, we'll go into I guess there was one. I'll try the Islands. Hopefully it'll give up more of the tribes which do make up. Okay, so the Sentinelese, that's the other one, the North Central Island. They were basically the other tribe I was talking about, See, I mean, there was with the times of people encroaching on them. Okay, so this is obviously 2018. This occurred. I think he must have been a tourist of sorts, and he got a bit too close to the natives of the island, and ended up passing away. So I mean, I'll click onto it. Hopefully there'll be no copyright infringements or anything. I'm doing this for commentary purposes, and there's no audio going through. So we'll just have to, obviously. So there was a 27-year-old American tourist killed by the Sentinelese tribe, which, as I said, is just off the. Okay, he was a missionary involved with religious work, preaching overseas. 7 people were arrested who helped the tourist. I guess because he may have been on ground which he shouldn't have been. Yeah, so that must have been very, very, shocking news at the time for the people and all concerned. But it's kind of, the people have lost to give thought to these people who have been living on this island, or this island group, I should say. There was a slight movement. Pause it here. This is old footage of some, the outer population coming up and viewing the inhabitants, and they're coming to the coastline. Kind of in shock because both sides, they're not aware of how how these people are dealing with each other. And communication is also probably a barrier in between these two. So I mean, the Indian government is controlling over these lands, but obviously the culture is different in the island group of the Andaman Islands. So sometimes, obviously, this is footage of people trying to be friendly and throwing them coconuts and things like that. This guy looked pretty inquisitive. I mean, as you can tell, obviously, civilized human beings, aware of their surroundings, their environment, and what their requirements are for survival. So, living it, as I said before, a natural way of what they had been for a long, long time, thousands of years, who's to say. So, I mean, that was one. And then, unfortunately, there was the situation of that gentleman passing away. But so, see, okay, because there was basically also talk amongst the different group of the islanders how hostile they are to the outside contact. I think the Sentinelese have been known to be maybe the more violent tribe in the sense, but there's a question here: are the Jawas dangerous? The answer from Google would be they remain vulnerable to outside diseases to which they have little or no immunity. In 1999 and 2006, the Jawas suffered outbreaks of measles, a disease that has wiped out many tribes worldwide. While in contact with outsiders, an epidemic could devastate the tribe. So obviously that's got nothing to do with the sort of nature of them. just to say, the nature of their behaviours. That's just to show how isolated they have been, uh, in their time, and in the remnants and their remaining of in their tribal ancestral lands, and sticking to the tribal ways. Obviously, this gentleman here fishing with a a customary spear and arrow. So that's kind of how they say, would be very ancient, formulated the engineering, very early engineering feats, but still very successful and efficient. Obviously, you can see there's an abundance of fish and stuff around there. Same you'll be able to see here. These two tribesmen. There's Bradley standing there with his bow across here. These are those similar ones I think we just saw previously with the contact of the coconuts. So, we'll just keep going around, have a bit of a look. I'll tuck back into thing, and then I pretty much it was through, but it's all good. Yeah, so other Sentinelese still alive. The Sentinelese, also known as the Sentinel Lee and the North Sentinel Islanders, are an indigenous people who inhabit North Sentinel Island on the Bay of Bengal in India. They are one of the world's last uncontacted peoples. So, okay, there you go. So why is it illegal to go to North Sentinel Island? Now, this would have been the reason why that American who was attacked and killed, the missionary, he was not within the laws. Obviously, he wasn't, because as it says here, India has banned its citizens from visiting North Sentinel Island or attempting to make contact with these people who live there. Going within 3 miles of the island is illegal. The Sentinelese people are known for their violence and unwillingness to communicate with any outsiders. Okay, so that goes to the point I was saying before as to the Jarawa. And there is the other tribe, I can't think of the top of it. On the other groups, there is a few, but obviously the North Sentinel in their group probably the most, considered the most violent, and those just try and show through the location and the geography of it, because as they showed before, they're kind of they're a smaller island amongst the groups. Now we'll see if we can pick it up here. Okay, so it's not really that clear, but you've got the Andaman. This is basically where they're it's not that great actually. Oh, this one might be a bit better. Over here. Because just this gives an idea of, the Andamanese indigenous peoples, comparison of territorial distribution, pre-establishment of the British penal colony versus present-day population distribution. Right, okay, so this will be the breakdown. Let's say this, the Onge or Onge. ONGE is the tribe that I was thinking of. Two for the Great Andamanese, 10 groups. The Jara, which we were just basically talking about. The Jangle, which has been extinct by the 1920s. So there's not one since the 1920s. They have been completely wiped out. Not one remnants of that cultural tribe. Um, so basically for 100 years, that's quite a shocking thing I'm just coming across there. So I mean, not even just animal species are being extinct daily, or we should be worrying about losing the rhinos and elephants and whales and things. There's actually human cultures which are going extinct, and one has been extinct for 100 years. So that's yes. Anyway, so then you've got the Sentinelese, uh, the violent one we were just talking about, and the Onge. So they are basically down on this most southern tip island. Now we can try and have a look at the information. So it doesn't say what year that the British people did arrive. So you could take a guess. Sometimes in the 18. Oh, actually, they would have probably been there quite early, but they didn't use it as a penal colony. But we can find out in a second. But just basically looking at this, let's see here. All of the top section of the Northern Island was inhabited by 10 different groups of Andamanese people. Pre-settlement of the colonists, and then the Jarowa tribe, which was basically the more, I guess, friendly one, which had, in the eyes of the general population of the world, but were located on the south. But now they've been taken across to the east coast, and all the great Andamanese have been decimated. There is no longer. There is a small section there you can see. In comparison, they took up all of this island land territory, and all the other islands that made up the uh, island system, and basically they've been put down to this minute small area. Now the Jarowa seem to have grown, but they've moved to East Coast. Orange have obviously lost a lot of ground here. They have their whole island and some of these smaller islands on the tip no longer. It seems that non-indigenous settlements always uninhabited, so have taken over at least the white areas. Now back to the point of basically the Sentinelese being so aggressive. You can see here that their region being an an offshore lying island to the western coast, off the western coast, just in its own isolated area, and they, so it gives them, I guess, the advantage of being not landlocked and surrounded by water, to give them time to see incoming incoming intruders or outside populations coming in, so they were able to defend their land quite aggressively. And they must have heard throughout the over the period of time, they've seen the nature of what has gone on through the decimation and destruction of the traditional national culture that was going on. But unfortunately, they seem to have held their place there, but that's probably why they've earned their title as an aggressive culture. But I mean, hey, that's pretty. I think a lot of people in this western side would think that's fair enough. They're holding their land, but you can see the orange on the tip of the base there. So that's kind of the southern region of this land group would have been a very diverse region at the prior time, because there would have been contact between all tribal groups here, the Jarowa, the Andaman, the Jangul, Sentinelese, and the Onge, because you can see they're all in close contact, in proximity of each other with where they were placed amongst the island system. So that's something to think about, because if you thought back in history, well, they must have got along, I guess they got along in a way because they had their boundaries and everything was set. It was all communally right, and once if there was laws broken, I guess punishment and repercussion had come. But unfortunately, you can see here the orange culture of the jungle here on the bottom of the bigger island group. They have been extinct by the 1920s, so that's kind of very sad thought there. But see if we can find any other maps that break it down a bit clearer. You can kind of see here this would be the Jarl Sentinelese. Yeah, so I mean, this is probably another reason why these are some facts which are, not so commonly known that I think really should be at the forefront of everybody's just frame of mind and thought. This is the kind of hotel tourist stay spots, I guess, in the Maldives and Seychelles Islands and the Andaman Islands. It's in the Indian Ocean. You can see how beautiful how clear the water is. You can have a bungalow which basically walks down into the ocean. That's basically the tourist side, but the traditional side of life is right there. They're all at home. This was that same previous one where they were fetching the coconuts when the people were coming in. But you could see here, this is a great picture actually. I mean, showing you the rough seas and rock coastline which surrounds this island of the Sentinel Island. So for them to actually reach such a place is a effort in itself, and then for their culture to thrive within the heart of the island in the jungles. Obviously, they've come out to the coast to observe what's coming on with the intruders, but just how rough these seas are. It's a great kind of reminder, as opposed to what we've just seen here, this calm, crisp blue way, ocean. You could walk, kind of seems so you could just walk through all that, but I don't see how getting through this should be very difficult terrain to navigate. But obviously they did have the smarts and engineering with their boats. They were brilliant. There you go. And I was just about to see with their boats and their engineering feats, because another thing is the people of the Pacific Islands, the maritime skills of their sailors, like it's kind of been pushed to the side. Like a lot of people think that only the European discoverers, such the Spanish Christopher Columbus and British fleets, they were the great sailors and navigators of the world. Whereas I think if you were to really look at information and look at it, the thousands and thousands of years of history, and really take into account logical information, you'll find that these people have been navigating seas in boats, just such as these. Now, something of this nature with just a single, like a single shell cavity, manned by two people, I guess they still would be, obviously, and they have able to navigate through the smaller sections of islands, like in between land masses such as this, from say the mainland into the outer islands, but they're over here, so in between the island system. But to cross and navigate over the ocean, they had basically the doubled up bows, so something similar to a catamaran, you might say. So you could have um, one single uh, shell or shelled out canoe here, and on the other side there'd be another one with bridges and a base like for people to stand and a massive sail in between there. Now that those ships were able to travel from continent to continent, um, and they were easily able to navigate through the stars and their knowledge of the waters. That's for sure. All these people in the past. So, I mean, that's something that people don't really put to thought. They think that, oh, these islanders were just very primitive and couldn't travel far. But if you really think logical thought into it, um, you'll see that the possibilities of people traveling across the Pacific Ocean into Southern America is very possible. I'll put in the Pacific Island. After the book. Okay, so I mean, this wasn't. Okay, something like this is probably what I was referring to. Right. So these ships are ancient and were existent hundreds and hundreds of years before the discovery of them by the British and European colonies through the Pacific. So as I said, there's like, basically similar to a catamaran design with two floatable rafts on either side, supporting the base and foundation where the crew would, or the people would be stowed. And obviously, this has two big masts, and now see that's even more to their engineering because that would give you directional and speed control, like having two masts, so you'd be able to control whichever wind you are able to capture to the greatest advantage and uh, give yourself a chance to get across. So I mean, these things were very much in comparison to the British, like that, and people don't kind of hold that to a point. Now, even the design of such things in the Chinese ships of these type and the Polynesian ships, characteristics of that have been taken into the modern naval architecture. And so that's another fact which people pass by. I guess they don't realize that, hey, it wasn't all just created in the 18th century out of nowhere. These people didn't come up with the idea to do all this stuff. Like they had observed the indigenous people of the world throughout their conquests and things, and um, put together those ideas to their benefit, for their benefit, and it basically took most of the acknowledgement for it. So once again, I want people to be aware of these sort of facts which are not told. They're just not in common knowledge here. I mean, what's this say? Australian Pacific Islanders. So this would be Torres Strait, Solomon Islands. I mean, well, more Torres Strait because they are classified within the Australian citizenship, but you're seeing the mass colonial ship lying offshore, coming in to see the indigenous now. This is kind of a animation, but this was the similar type of shape of bow that they had. Similar hut bure style villages living. Just trying to find more, more of the bigger ones. But I mean, these guys were able to navigate far across the ocean. You know, I mean, it's quite obvious because they have been able to keep the culture sustained throughout the the history of man. So basically, here, ancient Polynesian voying canoe. You can see how they're able to navigate over the wide expanse of the open ocean and deal with very big waves, huge waves that come across. Now, I'm sure they also were aware of which path to take and would be the easiest. I mean, there's another, basically the Trans-Pacific Bosun ship. So this is the upload. Recognition of what the seafarers were able to do with these catamaran-style two-sail boats and ships. It was amazing. And then you've obviously got the smaller ones, but so like you can see, these were the designs of the bow. I mean, even here, the title Polynesians use celestial navigation, meaning that they use the stars to chart their travels. I mean, they could tell which constellations were in which direction and other such signs for them to plan their route or route. So, okay, so this one is saying that obviously maybe some people came out of Pacific and were successfully able to get to Japan in a boat similar. So it's just to show you that maybe it's been done in the past couple of. This looks pretty good. But it just shows you the ingenuity and obviously the know-how, the brain power of these people. Maybe through trial and error, or when they just give them this divine knowledge, but the capability of them to navigate, create, and travel on such ships. It's and it's continued to this day. They still have the ability to do so, and these ships would make it across everywhere. And there's not the technological and monetary advancements are really not necessary. He's manned this ship with a single oar, paddle, no life raft, or he's not kind of clothed very heavily. All that makes up is just a couple leaves and everything that this is made from too. That's another point of the thing that I guess everything this is made of is basically taken from the jungle. That'd be all like coconut husk and rusk or dried out palm vines, which are very, very strong, to tie as rope, and logs which they carve out of the trees and things like that. It takes time you have to find the right one, and they find has the best footage, and then they brought it out, and takes a lot of time to carve it out. And I don't think just everybody has the knowledge to only the certain few, but just to say that it exists is amazing to me. So pop back into here, see if people. I've got a few people. Suffers, what's up, my brother? In the house, G. Hope you all well. I'll drop the thing again, just in case I was just doing some jiggly jazz going off my mind, flowing with some thoughts. But yeah, cool to get back. I didn't know which way I was going to go from there. Any ideas you guys want to drop? You can put an idea in the chat or check it out, or if you want to come up, more than welcome. No digging it out. So yeah, I mean, so there you go. Like the mini futures joint. This is just basically pointing out that these guys were able to really travel and navigate through all the vast expanse of the ocean, centuries and hundreds of years before the European colonists and stuff, and to do it in such how they would say, how it could be termed primitive, but this is ancient knowledge, traditional, cultural, and it works just as brilliantly. And as I said, all the ideas have been gathered off these such things. So anyway, I can go back to the where was I? What was I thinking? Or we can go to Captain Cook and his. So Captain Cook is basically the kind of Christopher Columbus, you could kind of say, of Australia. He was the man that was on the first fleet that came here to discover the island that they called Terra Nullius or whatever. So, I mean, there's a lot of stigma that goes with it. Because basically to say Terra Nullius meant this was a land, Terra Nullius of nothing. So back in their terms of terming Latin and discovering, they were saying that even though they had seen the 200 or 2,000 or however many ever had been inhabitants of people on the coastline, they said that no, there was no people on here. It was all just animals and everything. So they gave them the right to come and conquer Australia through the doctrine. What is it? The doctrine of discovery, things like that. So, but that's not really what I was getting at. This was just pointing out the man. So he was actually by still 17. Okay, so in the 1779 on Valentine's Day, after discovering Australia and going through New Zealand and other islands, he actually went to the Hawaiian Islands and was speared by one of the Hawaiian natives. As because they were they didn't the violent and intimidating ways that he came on to basically try and take over the island. The local inhabitants weren't too happy. I'll see if we can find any. Okay, well, even here you could. It's from Facebook, but it's an animation, so it's obviously from the early 1900s or 1800s or something, depicting Cook even with his rifle, in a defensive position, or really even worse than defensive. He's in a position of um, imminent death with a spearman closing over the top of him, a clubman over the top of him. So um, that's just one of the ways that he faces this. Although he had taken many lives of the Australian Indigenous, and not just the Australian, all the Pacific Islands. It's these are just kind of facts that again I want people to be aware of, and they're not really in the mainstream of people's mind, their frame of thought when they kind of should be, because these people are held up as great discoverers and glorified amongst the historic works. But I think people should also be aware and highlight the you know violent, not just violent, or maybe just as inhumane or savage or primitive actions and behaviors which they had to outlay to get their agenda or get their civilization established to foundation. So that's just you know uh, just a bit on Captain Cook. I just had a mind freeze there. There was going to be what's his name? It starts with B. I just had a thing. The Bly. No, kind of going to be Baker. That's it, Thomas Baker. Okay, so we'll go. This basically is another story from. It's not folklore at all. This is traditional. This is proper Fijian history of what took place. Now, so let's go here. Thomas Baker was a Methodist missionary in Fiji, so going around trying to promote the church. Um, Known as being the only missionary in that country, in Fiji, to be killed and eaten along with 7 of his Fijian followers. So that took place in 1867 in Viti Levu, the main island of Fiji. Now we could read over here. It's the same thing. So Thomas Baker, 1832 to 1867, Methodist missionary in Fiji, known as being the only missionary in that country to be killed, along with the soles of his leather sandals, which were also cooked by the cannibal tribe, are in the Fiji Museum in Suva. Now that's that's actually true, in the sense that because the main tale that has gone around was he had went to one of the Highlander tribes, and basically in a form that he didn't recognize, but in between the tribal, it's just a rhetoric and behavior establishment that you don't put your hand higher than the head of the chief of the tribe. Now, at one point, supposedly, Baker did this, and that was signaled to the warriors of the tribe by the chief to take his life. Now, then at the point, because it was a sign of disrespect, now they basically, because of the clothes, and they weren't familiar with it at all. They were very traditional, just having basically loincloths and um, bush wraps and things like that of leaves. They weren't aware of what the shoes were, so they thought that the leather shoes were edible, and they boiled them up, and basically, yeah, every other part of him was consumed, but the shoes they weren't edible, so they are basically in the museum. Um, after being boiled and everything with him. So it's kind of this. There was another factor I just like wanted to blow up that people don't really aware of. Um, I did see what was it before? So Andre still going to here. Andre was also he was the basically a one of the most legendary Fijian chiefs for basically being the man known to eat the most, been involved with them yet the most like cannibal consumptions. You could just try here. How many did he eat? It was nine. No, okay, I don't want to say it's definitely over 90 or 100. Um, there's a big difference there. Okay, all right. So 999. Um, there's so between. Okay, it is believed Andre ate somewhere between 872 and 999 people in his lifetime, earning him the honor of being named Guinness World Records most prolific cannibal. Stage photo depicting acts of cannibalism in Fiji. So this is obviously a tombstone made in his commemoration. Um, so there's, I was going to say 90, but it was more not along the lines of 900. So in his lifetime, um, Ratu Andre, meaning Chief Andre, um, which is kind of, that's just a bit of information there. So we'll see if we got any. As I said, there was a photo of the man. He's the chief, Fijian legendary chief of the time. Absolute, there's some people here just doing something around his stone, I guess, pretty much desecrating it. I don't know why you're just sleeping on it. Look, check this, man. What a champ. What a champ, bro. Like, he was just a. Look at that hairstyle, bro. That is just groovy. That is like, just champ. Just proud chief of his nation and his tribe. Um, and of this the colonial people coming in to colonize have, they depict him in such a savage way, so primitive, so non-compliant, and such things like that. So I'll go back to Thomas Baker, I guess, and just there's a picture of the man himself. Unfortunately passed. So he tried to spread the word of the church to the Fijians in 1860s, and I'm not sure if this one's actually Fijian. I'm pretty sure this is more Papua New Guinean or. Oh, I'm not actually sure. No, well, could be, but I'll just have to check. I'll check in a minute. Look, yeah, see the Methodist. Yeah, okay, so here we go. So that was Papua New Guinea. A tribe in Papua New Guinea has apologized for. Oop, I don't want any of this. Yeah, you know, a bit of trouble there. Yeah, so obviously it says there that these are Papua New Guinean tribe members that apologise for eating a Methodist missionary that came around. So I thought that wasn't Fijian. Doesn't look too straight. So that, I mean, even today, there's many like Papua New Guinean tribes, even amongst the highlands, that are, you know, they basically they're still engaging in similar acts today amongst their own tribal. I just want to point out here, as we're talking about the cannibalistic past of the Fijians and the Pacific Islanders and such, this is basically the fork in which place the ceremony of the eating of the human flesh would take place. Now, it's not something that's like, oh, you're just going to throw them in and everybody has a go at eating the meat. It's very ceremonial, very customary, auspicious. Just there's a lot of, because there was belief in the spirits and you're getting the strength of the other fire. I mean, the fellow that you're consuming, and it was for the chief to eat first. There was this like a pecking order to it, and also to touch the meat with your hands was a big taboo. Like, so that's the reason for these forks being so large. That basically this would be, down here was the piercing prongs into the flesh, and you'd be handling it from here, in this area, so you weren't coming into your life. I mean, a live body wasn't coming into contact with the cooked dead flesh and then consuming it before that. So, yeah, that's just one sort of thing. And the other part, how the oven is basically, I've mentioned before, but prior to, if you guys are familiar with the Pacific Island underground oven, in Hawaii, they'll call it a luau, and umu in Samoa, lovo in Fiji, a hangi in New Zealand. Basically, it's that you dig, you dig an underground hole, put some fires with some volcanic rocks, and they heat up to be white hot, red hot, and they'll be hot for hours and hours, and then you put your wrapped up food in there, cover it up, come back in a few hours, and it's cooked. And now basically those similar ovens were the basis of the traditional cannibal cooking. Now, they would be pits dug, basically, 2 meters by 10 meters or so, depending how many people they would wanting to fit. They would probably fit 2 people in there, but they were huge pits to fit the size of a human. Whereas nowadays, you see the cooking pits are basically only just a meter deep and a meter wide to fit seafood, chicken, and other things like that. Oh, here we go. There's another mad one. Depiction of the chiefs. Well, this was a bit interesting. He looks more like a Rasta man. I've seen, and I'm familiar with this photo, but I'll just see how this Fiji, the Devil's Travel Corner. Okay, so some Fiji and a Kenyan. Very good. Tanoa Visawanga. Wow, so that man is Fijian. Let's check him out. Right, so this is Tanoa Visawanga, right? That's how you would be pronouncing the thing. I mean, the pronunciation of his name. Who was he? Ratu Tanoa, obviously. So, I mean, a Tanoa is the traditional bowl which they drink kava root from. He was a chief, but I just wanted to go see if we can bring him up. Okay, so Chief Tanoa Visawanga died December 8, 1852, was a Fijian chieftain who held the title Fifth Vunivalu of Mbao, which is the mainland, with Adi Savusavu, one of his 9 wives. He was the father of Ratu Seru Epenisa Dakumbao, okay, right, who succeeded in unifying Fiji into a single kingdom. Okay, so I'm familiar with this man. He was basically sort of once the colonized, the British colony came around, as it said, he established the United Fijian Kingdom, which gave the Fijian people the right to the land title holder land stuff, but it gave British the sovereignty. So obviously this man is the father. So that's even to see his dress is very, and his what's that? His neck piece or his ornament jewelry, even the staff. That's quite intriguing. I'm definitely going to look into this. That's great. Now I'm putting. I've just found something more interesting that I want to find out. So, installation the son of Atru one way Vavalangi third Bunivalabao and his second rifle Iwasaki. He was the father of the first two Ratu Seru. Okay, right. Ratu Tanoa was installed as Univalu upon his death of his elder brother Ratu Naulaval Ramateni Kutu, who was involved in a fierce power struggle against Roko Tumbao Ratu Raiwalu, which led to his death. The idea of Tulviti was conceived in the reign of Tanoa, but saw fruition in the reign of his son Seru. Okay, so basically he brought about the idea of having the one chieftain to sort of control over the mainland. The Wars of Bao being, that's the common language which is obviously spoken now. There's hundreds of dialects among Fijian tribes and stuff, but they obviously under this sort of lineage and control, they took the language of we pronounce it with the M in front of it, so the B has a silent M, so it's Mbao. It's the language which is the common dialect amongst all Fijians. So even though they would speak their own. So there you go. That kind of, I'm going to Tanoa Visawanga. And also the Q has an M in front of it, a silent N. So Visa Wang. Well, that's pretty cool. I might go into someone else to see if is there anybody in it. Oh no, it's cool. So good. So I mean, nobody. Up in here we got a few people in the house. Maybe there, DP Saab, Counter Dummy, Chris Cyphers still up in there. Got a few people. So I mean, if you want to come up, you come up. Just talking some jargon. But if you're listening, yeah, that's like kind of facts which kind of blew me away. Like, I mean, to see this man's dress and to find out who he is. The father of Dakumbao, who is basically the first leader of the United Fijian Kingdom, but that's kind of symbolizes to me. Looks like a Eastern African Rastafari type, not Eastern African, but just a Rastafari type dress. So, but yeah, I'll look into that a bit more myself and can come with some further researched info. Oh, didn't mean to do that. where was this is the coat of arms, I guess. Third place, you've got sugar cane, the symbol of the dove with the olive branch symbolizing peace, I guess. Bananas in a palm tree, a coconut. So, and obviously that Asiatic lion and the sign of the British or English, even maybe Knights Templar or just the British Crown, whichever it is, held up there by two Fijian warriors, and that old style boat that I was just previously talking on. So, I'll click into this. I'll see if this gives me a chat. Oh no, it's opening up another one. Or is it still? Hang on a second. Did it open it up onto its own thing, or is it gonna? I'm gonna stop it. So from there, I'll show you. I'll go into there and show you this. So, okay. So this is obviously of Thomas Baker, the first missionary that came in and actually was killed. So we'll have a listen to it.
Reverend Thomas Baker, he's really inspired me because he come out from another country, he come to this land, and he brought a team of students up into these areas. But on the way up, sowing the gospel and the kingdom of God everywhere he went, then he was attacked and he was clubbed to death. And he died up here. His wife was down by the Suva area, Rewa, and children, left them behind. And he died up here. And they cooked him and they ate him, except for his boots. They couldn't eat his boots. They were too, I think they must have been from English leather or something.
That's a joke. That wasn't the real boots.
Of the school here, the high school, Solomon, and we're just sharing about the things that happened and 1867 and how they affected these whole area here in the mountains of Fiji.
What happened here did give an insight of what happened to the power of people who will try and forgive. If that was what God said for us to forgive one another. In fact, after 4 generations of from the people who killed the Reverend Thomas Baker, they decided to organize some kind of a forgiveness, asking forgiveness not only from God, but also from the relatives of the Reverend Thomas Baker, the present relatives of today. And there was a ceremony that transpired in 2006. Present were the former Prime Minister of Fiji and his cabinet ministers, the relatives of the Baker family, and the chief and the people of Napachila. They decided to seek forgiveness for what transpired hundreds of years ago, which did not bring anything good to them because of the curse that was upon the land.
So I'll just stop that there. As he said, so there's the tribe of Navitila up there. So that's in the main highland district. Now, obviously, if you're familiar with other island nations and stuff, the highlanders are kind of always the most physically savage and defensive and rapid, I mean, type known for that, have that sort of stereotype about them, but not even stereotype because they do hold it to the thing. So basically, as he's saying, these people, because they committed that act of killing the missionary, the surrounding tribes really, really kind of banished and cursed these people up in the highlands, and they didn't receive electricity up until. I mean, even though most of Fiji didn't receive electricity up until only a few decades ago, but they were really, really left in isolation, and it seemed as though they cursed those people to leave them out, as he's sort of talking about. But just to make that a bit familiar, how so these people got shunned by the rest of the Fijian Islanders for doing what they did, but they obviously tried to get some consolidation going.
But the fortunate thing, the good thing, the blessing thing about what happened was that goodness and bigger things started coming into this region. Building of schools, making of the roads, students started going further in education. These are some of the good things that happened when this forgiveness ceremony was conducted way back in 2006.
That sounds great. We've got to learn to forgive, don't we?
Yeah.
Forgive one another. Forgive our mums and dads, our ancestors, all the problems that have come down in families. We can have a new start, can't we? Like if any person be in Christ is a brand new creation. Old things have passed away. Everything, behold, everything now has become new. Praise God, it's a new day. It's a new day. Thank you very much, Solomon. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you. God bless you.
So I see the congregation. That's the congregation of that tribe. So, go back to that. That was pretty interesting to hear that. Okay. Oh, we've got a few more people. Much more people. Much peace to everyone coming through. Takes time for the things to get out, but all good. I'll drop it again and see if anybody does what comes through. But yeah, I'm just going through some impromptu ideas that are kicking through my mind. So really, what's something else we've got to look up? Probably something like go back. Hang on a sec. Okay, so I guess these things are going pretty long. Because this one's probably not so long, but this will be good. I'll go on the Narbingi, or I'll do a bit of both. Just see a bit of where are they? The Ras. We get the Ras. Get your chalice. Give me some time to get my chalice up. Get it burning. If you got one burning, burn with you.
This country is dominant a Christian country. So now we have a few local Muslim brethren coming in. But this is dominant. Look, Jamaica have the most church in square mile than any other country. But yet still we have the highest crime rate. So the church is not working. Because them break down to Anglican, Baptist, Apostolic, all kind of things, different. And everyone wants to say for them own right. And now, I see Rastafari brethren doing the same thing. Because everybody want to join something and go sign something and say them are the leader, then Haile Selassie is the leader.
Yeah, man.
No man can lead I. And one leader me have a Haile Selassie. And any man who want to take that position, a lightning, earthquake and thunder, man. A man can't lead I. So now we see Rasta start to have. Them have 12 tribes, them have Bubble, them have Patrick, them have RCO, them have Federation, them have Leader Catholic, School of Vision, name it, Youth Council, all kind of different councils. I personally, as an individual, I grateful in all original, grateful in all the way I want to do, but I is not a part of that. I is Rastafari, son, praises to Emperor Haile Selassie. He said start and I just said stop. I have nowhere else to go. Because I see where they're turning the whole movement of Rastafari into Christianity and Muslim, religion, organization, club. You know, I'm not a part of that. I know Rastafari to a spiritual movement. I don't know it to not organize with no one at all. Because we all have fault and we all make mistakes. But we must rise above all of our fault and our mistake, and that is what I am all about.
Oh, yeah.
Because when we bread, I Nayabingi is the prayer. Nayabingi belongs to Bobo, 12 tribe Orthodox, all these RCO, all these organizations look at the prayer. But you have a set of brethren and sisters now who go and take Nayabingi and register it and trying to own it like it is a church.
Clarify that. So Nayabingi Center is not the sect of Nayabingi Center. When you say Nayabingi Center Great Pine, you're not talking about Nayabingi as a sect of
No.
Explain that.
It's everyone that chant Rastafari.
Right.
So it's the chanting center.
It's the chanting center of Nayabingi. I here is not an organization. We accept everyone. Bobo, 12 tribe, Orthodox, everyone can come here and give up ISIS. You can come for a minute, you can come for a day, you can come for a week. It's just a place of giving up ISIS. We don't register under the system. We are not a part of the system. Because I have defend this liberty. We are not fighters. Someone said them fight. I don't fight. I defend myself. I am a defender of this liberty. Some would say faith, but Mr. say faith move mountain, but I say bulldozer and truck and move it. You understand? So I'm saying I'm a defender of this liberty. So when we have this center here now, it's for everyone to come and give praises to Emperor Haile Selassie. That's a special brethren. So we don't join the system because I as an individual have been through all the struggle and all the fight. And we have broken down all the barriers. We could hear today. I'm chatting from the day when the mother and father forsaken. From you say Rastafari, them first throw you out of the house. No school no want you, no man no want you a job. They must send you to prison, to earth, they must train you, they must do everything. Your mother, everybody forsake you when you say, well, I'm chatting from that time. People want to be accepted by the society. And if the society accept you, I don't see where you can be Rasta. Bob Marley said, I don't know how me and them are going to work it out because I don't have no friend in high society. And look how much years him say that. Enough man are listening to and dance and everything, but them it's not connect. There is no space in the society for Rasta. When Babylon accepts you, you become a part of them. We are here to break down spiritual wickedness in high and low places. We no compromise and we no sell out.
Do you think the government purposely commercializes Rastafari to
exactly
hide the strength of it from the masses?
Listen. The radio station, the TV station, the journalists, them who interview people and put out, they never put out the positive things. They only put out the negative. If you sing about Rastafari and the radio station, certain Rasta song, the radio disc jockey will not play it. Not because they don't want to play it, you know. Maybe there's a higher authority say, listen, dance all if you play, you know, you can't play. Oh, you're a Christian if you play. Oh, you can't play Nyabinghi. Oh, it's not a Nyabinghi radio station, you know. Is that, you know what I mean? So they are still programmed. And these people who program them, they are the people with the money. They are the people, the ownership, who own these radio stations and own these TV stations. You listen. You go right now and turn on the TV and look. All of the video them make is half naked woman, a broke it down, man a skin out, this champagne, pants a drop off, junk, drinking rum, champagne, it's nothing about any form of education to uplift and people as a nation, a race, who are look forward to evolve out of the slavery mentality, what them have and I under. So that is real now. I said the brethren them that call upon Rastafari and said, Rastafari Emperor Selassie, who speak of education and agriculture, why we don't have our own radio station? Why we don't have our own TV station? They are criticizing the man. Like me, I criticize them now, but I criticize them because I don't have the money. But if I did have the money at that time, I would have got to. And maybe they wouldn't give I the license either. Maybe the government wouldn't give I the license, you know. Because I'm going to say, you come talk about Haile Selassie.
Well, maybe that's a question that you could pose towards the end. But man, you hear what he said, I hear what he's saying. I was going to go check on this one too, which is obviously a bit more detailing about the Nyabinghi, which is basically one different sector of Rastafari. Very famous for the heartbeat drum. Boom, 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 boom. It's a heartbeat of the nation. Bless up. Everybody out there, got a bit of flower with them. Get yourself up. Just go through this real well. Tell the story, hopefully. Won't go through all of it. See what this sounds like. Look at it.
We come from so far. We are Africa, so we are over here, sir. You understand? So coming from so far, it have to have a spiritual connection. Them really take an eye out of Africa, but them couldn't take Africa out of I said, you know?
The Nyabinghi.
But them couldn't take Africa out of I said, you know?
Influenced by the anti-colonial movement of Kizing Gazi, Inkingazi, Uganda called Nyabinghi. Original Rastafaris called themselves Nyaman. Okay, but so influenced by the anti-colonial movement in Kizing, Uganda, the Nyabingis called them Nyaman, called themselves.
The Nyabinghi is thousands of years old. It's not a considered thing limited to Jamaica. If you will research Queen Muhumusa, who did not inaugurate but recalled Nyabinghi, like Haile Selassie also.
History of the Nyabinghi comes from Queen Nyabinghi. Come from Kikezi, Uganda.
She was a great drummer, and she was a warrior queen. So, true, we use a drum. And we know that she was a great drummer. Play drum for 4 or 5 hours at a time.
But Warrior
Check that
Queen,
one. You gotta stop and give thanks and acknowledgement. Here are some facts which are not so commonly known. Don't want to be in the mainstream. A lot of people think, of this the ultimate mother, the ultimate warrior. I mean, ultimate mother goddess, the ultimate female form, the warrior, the warrior queen, even Kali and things. This lady here is a pioneer and pinnacle understanding of that term that we are talking. She was basically the utmost kind of representation of the fight back and that frame of mind and thought.
Nyabingi is really where the idea came from. We was a warrior lady, with a lot of fight physically on the battlefield to protect the tradition of black people, not even Rastafari and all, but black people. That lady, as far as I know, is that want to come for equal rights and justice to everyone, And I could have a tradition by the name of Nyabingi. Queen Nyabingi rise up against the colonial powers. She was a mystic. And it is said that she the defender of the poor and the oppressed. It's basically just like Nyabingi order. Because in early Jamaica in 1920s, it was a colonial rule at that time. So Rastafari rise up through anti-colonial struggle of total oppression in the 1920s come right down to now. So we could easily identify with the struggles of Queen Nyabingi and relate it to Jamaica in that colonial era.
The Rastafari bridging them. So we use Nyabingi. At the time, they used to say Nyabingi means death to white oppressor. And after a while they changed it to black and white oppressor.
In those days, Rastafari couldn't chant like here. It had to be in some deep bush. And it wasn't something built pretty like this. It was just a stick with a tarpaulin. But it was somewhere where you had to really walk and go.
There was no special place that we used to chant. All of us come together and one brethren would say, I man can host the foundation of the ideas.
So the next bingy they out of pit 4. And you would tell him, and he would tell somebody else. And then we'd reason together and say, when we going? So, well, it's Friday night, we're going. So where we going to meet? All right, make we meet downtown at 4 o'clock. And we take a bus, and groups would go together.
I would just go there like 2 or 3 days before. I would just took up a thing, I would just chant.
So you would hear the drums from a distance, and say, are we getting close?
Every other parish, every other time, gathering time. So each parish would get a bingy this month and whatever the month is. That will be a celebration month.
Have you ever heard 2,000 people singing? Okay. Well, that is how the Rastafari liberty was.
At night time, we'd go check Nyabingi, and it was, you can't find words for that feeling because it was totally different.
You get herb, food, care, advice, counsel, free heart.
It was so great that it was surprising. I never knew Rasta worship in such a holy manner.
It's like a spiritual blitz, something you never encountered before. You encounter it for the first time. It's like a mind-blowing situation.
Proper mystical thing. It made me feel like I'm in the beginning of time again, And it really took my mind off for the pressures of the world.
You know, we just sit here, you know, we just gone like for 3 days, you know, 4 days, you know, with the Nyabingi grounds, you know, we eat, we sleep, you know, we're fresh there.
Really put my mind back in time where, you know, it's just about praising the Almighty and not so much caught up in the world. It's like a break from the world.
My first experience at Bingi was like similar to astral traveling. It's a vibration that brings you to a celestial height. You know, you see me? So it brings you to the pinnacle of your highest point of yourself, the highest point of intelligence.
The drumming, the mood, the singing was nothing I've ever experienced before. And it has never left me. I have always said to myself that later on in life, I have to go settle back into some of that. You know, it's a spiritual inspiration that it needs the experience of every human being.
Many things. Nyabingi is really a university because you learn how to hunt in terms of going to get the firewood for the fire. You learn about preparation in terms of getting the grounds ready. You learn about family in terms of sharing. You learn about togetherness. You know, so what Nyabingi can teach us is a movement of life.
So it's a self-building, more ironical, in tune with iration.
It's a spiritual vibe, you know, so it's a spiritual growth.
If you're a weak person, you can stay into a bingi. If you're not a spiritual person, because the fire key is there, it's a purging fire. So the bingi alone, you have a fire outer, which is inside, and you have a fire outside. Bingi is a cleansing fire. Plus the beats now make your soul, your spirit lift to a different level. And you look internally. Whatever hatred or bad feelings you have, you come in a bingi, that's gone.
There's something about the drumming, you know, that wakes up something internally.
The connection is there, spiritual. You know, and if you check our stack, it's really the king's music, you know. Because if you trod anywhere else in the world, it's only I and I alone that drum that way there. So now I bring the drum, it's a special drum.
It's 3 drums. Bass, funde, and the repeater. The repeater is a sharp instrument that teaches one, that tells you what's going on. The funde is one that tells you to do good. Do good to mankind, do good to everybody.
So this one just hold the funde, it's saying do good to the people.
But the bass is a hard, a thunder bass. This is 2 big bass, not a small one, you know, massive bass. So when it raises consciousness, raises blood pressure. If we have a low blood pressure, gone up. The 3 instruments reminds you of who you are and where you came from, your Africanness.
Out of Nyabingi really create reggae. You know, the 1-2 heartbeat there. That's where, you know, reggae really comes from.
It's the beginning of the music, that's it. The bingi, the Nyabingi order, you know, is where all of the music come from. What them call heartbeats. They do cool, do cool, do cool. They want to play you can't go there. When walking come
as the momentum are steady, leading to the music and slow down from the tempo of mento and scare till it slows down with rock steady and then even gets slower with reggae.
Nabingi rhythm, the rhythm. Heartbeat. Yeah, it's the truth. Rastafari music. Which from that music come all music.
So we reach Psalm 9 with the understanding that this is a coronation psalm. That when His Majesty was crowned 1930, this is what everyone chants. I will praise Thee, O Lord, with my whole heart. I will show forth all Thy marvelous works. I will be glad and rejoice in Thee. I will sing praise to Thy name, O Thou Most High. When my enemies are turned back, they shall fall and perish.
Brethren is to create chant, but enough of these chant use out of the Bible. A lot of Rasta and those time was influenced by the Bible.
The chant which they sung were chants which I knew from the Baptist church. Things like those hymns, sankits. I know all of these hymns and sankits because my grandpa was a deacon.
A lot of chant them change around the world and the same sankey, the same Bible doctrine. I was a Bible person. Because I never know Rastafari to read and write. I know it to the genes and spirituality. I was from that time to this time, and the same time is I say one. So a lot of one, even the Rastafari movements, even until now, a lot of bridging them was influenced through the Bible.
Man.
You know, and this Bible, I never say I listen to say I like.
Nyabingi is a path, it's like a road. You know, chanting is like a road that takes you someplace. Based on how genuine you are to the chanting, that's like a fuel. We have, some people more into it than others. The persons that are more into it go far on the journey.
Things time when people gather, something negative usually come out of it. The fact that the concept of coming together just to do good, no buying, no selling, no rush, no timing, no nothing. Just gather, show love, share food, eat, praise the Most High, and then we go back into the world.
Anyone that knows or has experienced years of Ayabingi life will only tell you about pleasure, about happiness, and about love. The warm current of love that Rastafari share.
I don't know how the one them see it still, but we have to just learn to love ourselves. And if we love ourselves, everything will come after.
Master, you come again. Slave master, you come again. I people were taken from Africa.
You be here. So that's some deep info, man. To open your mind, leave you with people could gather something. But what up, bro? We'll be in the house. Got a few people come through. I didn't notice. I've been pumping for a while, just doing some stuff out of my. Like I've been thinking along. It's been alright. I was thinking of knock it down now, but I might stay on for half an hour more max. But yeah, that was some really kind of intriguing shit, though, like information that hope you can resonate with. So anyway, most people coming through. Hope you could all like hit the like. If anyone wants to come up. Man, everybody has I guess, different truths. I mean, kind of so like I mean, I'll let you do on with your thing, but I just don't want a lot of this stuff, and I can understand why people would do sort of, you know, starting up your own stream, bro. Come out with your rhetoric, but it's like not too cool. But it's all good. See what else I'd be thinking of. We can go back to this fella, I guess. I'll go back to a little bit. I'll go back to a bit more of this. So we'll do Tanawa Visuanga, good, which brought me on to the thought of the Rastafari movement. It says obviously the father of Takumbao, which also another feature of the Fijian vocabulary alphabet. The C is pronounced as a da. It's a D. It's da. It's a B C is a ba da, and D is ka. So it's a ba da and ka. Yeah. So anyway, that's a little breakdown of A B C D E for you. So this guy, this gentleman, as I said before, was the one to try and have the United Fijian Kingdom, which would help fall under British rule, but still hold chiefly rights and land ownership and things like that and tribal law. Because if you're to do the opposing side of Tonga, actually Tonga have a king who is basically they have a royal family there, so who is kind of ascended and connected with the British Queen royal family, but I don't know his actual name or anything. But whereas opposed to Fiji, they kept their chiefly in tribal states. So back onto the point of Sawanga, he was the father of Omeso in what died 1852. They might not have the date of his birth, so let's guess around maybe 1800. So let's see. I was going to have a look into the wars. There was a few. Let's see. The wars of Umbao. As the animosity intensified, Rati Tanoa was forced to exile firstly on Kora Island and then in Somasoma on Tabueni, which was the third biggest island. Anyway, where he remained until his son Ratusera Epinisa the Takumbao led a coup in 1837, reinstalling his father as Vunivalu until his death in 1852, whereupon Takumbao inherited the title. He had 9 wives, 6 of whom were strangled to death in December 1852. Amongst his issue were Ratu Tubuana Koro and Ratu Seru Ebenisa Takumba. So, the burner of both, it was before his exile that Tanoa was named Tanoa Visawanga for his bloody campaign and slaying of the Rokatuiumbao Ratu Raiwalu. He set fire to the war canoes of the warriors of the Rokatuiumbao, and there was thereafter called Tanoa, burner of boats, or figuratively excessive killer. Even though the Ratu Nalivao sent his father Tanoa on a mission to punish Rokatuiumbao and his followers, he did not expect the bloodbath which would follow, and that Tanoa's actions greatly worried his brother. So there was a bit of a breakdown of who succeeded who preceded who after the war. So it's finished with Takambao, who is the son of Visawana. So, but before that, let's see, 1832, the first video. Okay, so Turanga Navuni Valunambao is the paramount chief of the Kumbuna Confederacy. Loosely translated, the title means Warlord of Mbao or Root of War. The succession to the title does not follow primogeniture, but the candidate must be a high-ranking member of the Tui Kamba clan. So that's pretty cool info on it. Even that's people don't really get know about and to get out. But that's to me, I'm definitely going to try and hold a few. Should get some more research into going into how people are busted out. It's all good. I guess I'll slow it down. So we're going backwards. What else we doing? I mean, yeah, that made me think of what I thought. So that was pretty chiefly. It's like we got because a great warrior spirit has been at least acknowledged, and a bit of thought put across to help the vibe. I don't know what time it is where you're at. Hopefully it's all gravy and people will feel the finest as they can do. Yeah, much gratitude to all the people who come through. Hit the subscribe and like and share. I can see I got a couple new ones, which is pretty nice. Obviously, it's just trying to grow slowly, but you've got to be consistent with it and come up with some relevant content, which is original yet thought-provoking, but relevant to your nature, I guess. But also, yeah, relevant in the sense that it triggers and can keep people engaged and entertained. Yeah, you mentioning that I did. Yeah, I saw the notification come up. I haven't seen the most recent video about autodidactic. So it's something. If anybody is still watching like out there, people should check him out. Pretty good Australian streamer. That comes up with some similar things. Actually, he kind of encouraged a lot of, triggered a few things I thought about architecture. Architecture in big cities around Australia, such as like in Melbourne, how they had built such huge monuments to like places which had kind of just been founded and established, like, within 20 years of discovery, they built a 3-story building with 12-meter tall rooms and things with a town of maybe only a few thousand people. So what was the necessity of such a vast monument, or reason the thought behind it? Was there bigger plans? But anyway, people can go check out that sort of video. But I mean, that is a question which did trigger me, because it was like, what was the reason for, did you have prior knowledge as to the plan of what would be happening and the pavings, well, not the pavings, but the street layout, the town layout, town planning for the next, 10 decades or even 3 centuries from the time of discovery. So if that's the case, then they build upon discovery. They build a huge monument to glorify and recognize their hierarchy or their authority, which kind of like will be seen by everybody who is present in the town as far as wide as possible. So I think it's just something to get your mind around. But amongst other things, obviously, we've got at this time where we are in lockdown and all these things, like it's getting beyond recognition, and it's just people can't describe what's happening. Everybody's just locked up and thinking many things, so much held inside. Many people are able to get out, do their regular routine, all we see on the television, not television or mass media or even anywhere we go, it's just kind of chaos and sad thought. But I just, once again, hopefully nobody can fall ill. Just, we can all be peace and be free and be. Actually, that's probably never going to be a reality in one sense, but let's just all have a reason to survive. I think that's probably a better fair assumption. So people may roam where they want to roam. But we'll bust it out. Oh, it says. Oh, it must be 10 minutes behind or something. There's a lag going down. Oh, so 1:45. I'm gonna bust it out. I'm the only one in the house now, so it's all good. So if you made it this far, much appreciation as always. Stay tuned, be blessed, look inside yourself, find your direction, and follow that pathway. Be the best you can be. Follow your intuition. Respect those that respect you, love life, and just keep learning every day. That's how we're gonna be. Keep funking with that high grade. You know. So I guess I could at least for my sake, I mean I should be able to bust out a we call it an outro instrumental, which should have no copyright sort of infringements because it's completely mine. So I don't know, I'll get punk out with this one, I guess. So copy it there, copy it there.
Yes, I'm on the tape fresh. My mind's in the mess. Just had sex, yo. For that done. Yo, hey. OTC, busting on the tape in the MI. Repeat like M-I. Be that man, what you want to take? Come from Afghanistan, what the? Get on the mic, kill the shit, my friend. About to kill the shit, my parent. About to kill the shit. Check the boogie, yo, when I want a bass or contact. You want that, so I can and respond back with my time, with my rhyme, with my space, with my grace. Cause I feel and I come back on when racing it's more deep head. It deep end when to come afloat. When I'm born to swim, cause I was born to float, and I was born to choke, cause I was born to lurk. It's coming out my throat. Out my mind, design like Calvin Klein on the tape. You can't feel more better than mine. State of mind is where I'm at. Yeah, it's on the style of piece. If you wanna do combat like a dime piece, fine piece. See the poem pull you cool, and you can't even recall. You had a full bass, beats, and that break. Where you gonna move on the beast? Shake you wanna heat the mic. You hit it again, but I be on the tape. Get the moon mic it again because it hurts. Oh, see, busting on the tape and I repeat. I said H-O-T-C on the microphone and doing it daily. Shit back on the rap field, he's a better mic at. I'm a better sock at. Kick upon the dry out, cause the drought was about to live upon now. Now the river deliver the fluid somehow. The rain came down for the clouds upon showers and crowds upon crowds and round upon rounds. Drinks gone, drinks flowing, minds like links going. So where's the fucking Sphinx gone? Hold up, wait up. Come back, set me a trend. Get on the mic, you know what I don't need no pen. I need that paper, I send the rest of the mind. It's in my brain confined. It's like finding the rhymes that come back with rhythm, spit it, give it, gift that I got for mine. It's not decisions I'm making, concentrating, cross baking, crossing the world cause the space is vacant. Break, beat, take again when you wanna take more bass and say friend like this. Yo, find the rhyme on the beat, fuck the taste. Nowadays, I'm not the phone beat. Back, Mike Sean would do the phone shit, say like yo, that you are my friend, say me close, if you wanna get like kicking the rap, flipping the back, cricket is back. I'm in the poem, kicking the wick, sick of the hat. Which hat for that? Which hat for me? Nightcap, snap back, you G. Ain't the rich crowd with this eye, cause I'm about to rip pies, rip bars, and go up on the back street, hip hop, that's it, it's on main shit. Australia's in the game, the full play, no one say shit. But how can I get from born called VT? It's the fucking place to call VT. Feet beside my cool Fiji, on my safe, on my summer, lovely naka, come and tape, have you kinda get up to food, yeah, dude, you ain't rude, you have your carver, have a proof, so nice to have you in the house, no doubt, to kick up on the mic, if we're gonna scream and shout, so check. Peace up, peace out. Keep checking this, freshen this on a tape. We'll be back, we'll be here.
What's peace? What's peace?